Hi, Stefan Swartling here from Swartling Network. I think the normal standard web browser is dying, and that's because most people now uses mobile devices and native apps on their devices. Native apps provide a better experience and more functionality than a web browser. And personally, I'm almost never use a web browser anymore. I use apps like Flipboard, Nuzzle, Pocket, Instapaper, Twitter's own Discovery tab, and all excellent RSS readers and much more apps instead of a web browser now. These apps opens the post directly so you can read them in the app directly instead of open it in a web browser. It often have a in-app web browser built in, but with a lot more features. So for example, you can have the post reformatted for easy reading and so on, and also with full share sheet support and extension support, so you can do a lot with the post directly in the native app. One of the few times I have to open a real web browser instead of the app is when I'm using badly developed app as for example Google's own iOS apps, for example Google+, then I have to open the post in a web browser because Google's apps is so badly developed so you can't do anything in it, and they look terrible in the in-app web browser also. So the only thing you can do from the post opened in, for example, Google+, is to open it in Safari. Nothing else. And that's very annoying because that means that I have to click on the article 2 times and load it in 2 times before I can do anything with it. These badly developed iOS apps, for example Google's own iOS apps, doesn't support share sheet or extensions, and I don't know why, and this is really terrible. It hurts the very good user experience on iOS devices. So I don't think many people start a web browser directly now to browse the web anymore. Not even for search really. People search via apps directly or from the OS, the operating system, directly. And they don't even know which search engine they use anymore. Because if they use Siri, for example, they don't know that they're using Microsoft Bing. And if they use Spotlight search directly on their iOS device, they don't actually know which search engine they are using. So starting a real web browser directly to search and use the web is on its way out now, and people are using apps, native apps instead, even for search. So content is now pushed to us instead of us pulling it from the web. We get it pushed to us in excellent native apps like all the RSS readers that is available, or in Twitter, Discovery tab, Nuzzle, Flipboard and so on. So we get, for example, notifications with news that we want to read, or we go through our streams to find all the news that we want to read and so on. These services, these native apps adds features to let us find news that we want to read much easier and so on. And these features in the apps gets better and better. They add more nifty features to let us find the news easier and read exactly what we want to read. For example, my favorite app Nuzzle, it only shows the news that I want to read and what my friends at Twitter has liked or retweeted and so on. So it depends on how many retweets or likes it has. Then it shows me in that order I want the news that I want to read or blog about, for example. Other times that I have to use a real web browser is when I have to manage, for example, my Apple community on Google+, and that's because the Google+ native app is not as good as it has to be to manage the community feature on Google+. So you have to use a real desktop web browser to manage a community. And then I have to use a desktop-like web browser on my iPad to manage my Apple community. That's kind of bad, but once again, that is because badly developed native apps. And the same thing with when I have to manage my Blogger blog, my Blogger website. So then I have to use a web browser to get all the features to manage my website because of badly developed native Blogger app. But I think we will see a future without a real web browser. We will use native apps and the operating system directly to browse the web in the future. And personally, I don't even use search anymore. I only use it for when I have to search for help that I can't find in a native app. Help with something I need to do. It could be personal, it could be technical. Otherwise, I use search in the native apps, for example, Twitter app. I use Twitter search a lot because it's an easy way to find news about something I'm interested in. For example, the latest third-party keyboard for iOS, Nintype. I used Twitter to find all the posts I have to read about it and videos and so on before I decided to buy it. It was a very easy way to find everything I needed about this third-party keyboard app. And when it comes to search for help, I often use the YouTube native app because YouTube videos is excellent to watch when you have to see how to do stuff and so on. And I also use apps like Flipboard when I need to search for news to blog about or read. So it's not often I use a web browser and Google search to find something. And as I said, I think more and more people will do the same as I do, use native apps instead of a real web browser. And I think we will in a really near future see that the web browser has to do something to be interesting again, or otherwise it will die out. Native apps is taking over. Okay, that was my thoughts about the web browser and also about native apps and search. This episode was a bit shorter than before, but I hope you liked it anyway. Okay, bye.